almost pulled a Curtis, and I was in the wrong room. I'm like, where are these guys? O-line is the real skill position. It is. It is. Ain't kidding.
Wow, Curtis is holding that across the screen is what it looked like.
That's my guy. So anyway, guys, thanks for stopping by on time and me sitting in the other room wondering where these people's at. So yeah, we got a lot of talk about. We get to see Hooked Up Joe for the first time, Mr. Mystery. So we got a ton of stuff. I want to kick it off with who knows most about this receivers coach?
Not me.
Joe, that's you, man. Kick it off, Joe. Tell us all about this receivers coach.
I was trying to reach down and point at him, but I couldn't do it right. I wasn't raising my hand. But I did hear that he's done the job a bunch, and that's what we need is experienced coaches that have done the job and are respected by other coaches and to help with experience on the coaching staff and make the right decisions and train our guys right instead of this buddy stuff, which, I've never really been on the whole against the buddy thing, but I'm on board now. We just need some people in there that are coaches, draw the line. We're coaches, you're players, do your job. We're doing our job. We're not going to go out and party.
Yeah, wide receiver coach of the year in 2024 with the Cowboys. And, I don't know. I can't speak for the Cowboys wide receivers, but what I can say is it's exciting to think that, like you said, he's been in the league. He's been doing this job for a while. Clearly, he does a really good job. And the big thing, I think, is just keeping the players in line and keeping them focused on football and not Miami nightlife and things like that. So can't see it being a bad thing, that's for sure.
And is he available because his coach got fired? Like, he didn't get fired from where he was. His coach
right,
got
exactly.
fired.
Yeah.
And they were stupid enough to fire the whole staff with him, or he said, I'm not going to stay in this dysfunctional place, and decided to go to greener pastures.
Perhaps a different malfunction over here in Miami.
Well, at least he's used to it. You know what I mean? It's not like he'll be surprised or unable to function.
Well, the good part is now there's no excuses. You can't, you're not going to blame this guy. He's got coach of the, receivers coach of the year. So if they got to put up and shut up, it's a no. And also it might even keep Hill maybe a little bit more in line.
Yeah,
maybe.
Somebody was definitely hurt this year. I heard he broke his hand and he was just not really healthy this year. Do you think that his health was the issue, or whether his concentration was the issue, or whether it was just a combination of that plus scheme and whatever else? Or do you think he just slacked out?
I think he was. I think that this offense got figured out. Cheat motion trimmed away some of the little bonus round stuff. The offensive line dropped dramatically. They couldn't run the football. Teams had the book. And then when he wasn't getting fed and having his big games, he started having a tantrum. He's selfish. And so, yeah, I'm sure there was an injury thing there, but these guys, at that level, they played for him. I did a whole thing on Taylor playing with it. He almost lost his leg. He had a tube running through, so I'm not saying he's supposed to be Taylor, but he's supposed to be Taylor is what we've been told. So I don't want, you just play through and you don't quit. I don't care what you're going through. You don't quit. And just, the bunch of receivers going, are you playing? I'm done, man. He is who he is. If it's going well, as Zonka says, Hill's going to Hill. He's selfish. That's, he's a narcissist. You got to figure this guy's super talented. He's gotten away with a load of stuff. He's been ushered through. I remember, when I said, I was just, the little college thing. And my coach is like, all right, we got classes for you. I'm like, I'm not an idiot, man. I got my own classes. He's like, no. You go to these classes. You don't really have to, we'll get you through. I'm like, I'll get through myself, man. I don't. So all these guys, these big football guys, they get the red carpet treatment. And, eventually, if you're not set right in your head, then you become a narcissist. And if you're already a narcissist, it fuels it. So, he's a big talent, but he is what he is. It's about him. So that's my take.
Yeah. I think he's never used to losing. I think, and there's so much stuff that behind the scenes that he's gotten upset about that we have no clue. The thing I always think of, if we know that the Dolphins are going to go get bullied and pushed around by another team because we're weak up front. Tyreek Hill knows the Dolphins are going to go get pushed around, and because they're weak up front. Football players know their weakness of their team. They can see their O-line get beat every week, and nothing's working. We can't find a way to get him in the offense. Like, it's a perfect storm of just a pile of crap to happen at the end of the season for him, man.
Hey, Cliff,
did he ever miss the
brother?
playoffs? Did I hear?
No, this is the first time.
Yeah,
I got a little inside scoop though. I'll give you guys when you're ready on Hill from people in the know.
Yeah, what do you got?
Maybe my first scoop ever. Well, the talk was that he would quit very early in the season and didn't want to really play with backup quarterbacks, and that's from somebody who's very cautious about what he says, and he has loads of contacts. So I don't take it as gospel, but very early he was disgruntled. He was a problem, and he really didn't want to play with backup quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I think
that's the word. That's what I heard from somebody who's pretty darn reliable.
Yeah, Flores would have had him shipped out by now.
Oh, he should have been. Yeah, I think. Someone had a great question. All right, here in dead question: whether keeping Hill for the leverage he creates brings more to the offense than opening up money.
What money?
Yeah, I mean, you could get money back for him. You lose a little bit, but you can save a little bit, and then for me though, okay. So you got Washington, you got Waddle, and you got Hill, 3 small guys, and that sometimes when you stack up skill sets, it can be a benefit in some areas, but it can also be a problem. And the whole thing is, if you really want to succeed, we've got to have a different. Someone else put another one. Does moving Hill force me? But can McD change? All right, so I mean,
not without an offensive line.
Yeah, but and it's also he'd have to look if he changes that offense, and he's going to have to, I think, then he's got to install audible packages. He's got to, I did a whole cool podcast today about Darius DeHady. And he talked about how this offense is run, and it's very fickle with the way the coverage is being read and the way the ball gets out. And what was the results on that? I looked on Over the Cat. Let me know those. Check it out. Yeah, Kyle Crab is great.
My one thing here is that I think that. First of all, what he said about the backups, which you're absolutely right. I mean, and that's, Tyreek Hill, people can say a lot about him, but one thing I do know and believe is that Tyreek Hill does love Tua.
Yeah.
He definitely does. And I think he recognizes that they work well together and they do play well together on the field. And he like you said, Tua was out for a lot in the beginning of the year, and it got to Tyreek, especially with the wrist and stuff. And I'm not making excuses for Tyreek. Believe me, I've made comments on my channel to cut ties with Hill, let him go if he wants to go. See you later, buddy. But if he does come back, like Hooked Up Joe was talking about next year, if he comes back next year, he needs to be perfect, not on the field, but he needs to be perfect off the field.
That's never happened.
Yeah, never. But that's what needs to happen, because I think he's got such a short leash now. And, I mean, if we do something with the offensive line this year, I think having Hill would be a big benefit, like with what you've talked about, Curtis, with opening up the field and having him able to stretch. I mean, that's huge.
So. Yeah, without a doubt. But when you really think about the needs, we need a two-way go tight end. We need to upgrade the offensive line. We need to upgrade the DI spot. We need to upgrade the safety spot. We need to inject depth all around. So we had 10 picks, which is great. And if he hits on 5 or 6 guys, let's say, you're talking about a big help. Mm-hmm. But again, all the teams, and someone sent me hey, Yuki. Someone sent me this guy. You don't know who he is, but he's been paying attention to me. We kind of became friends, and he sent me this great interview by not Joe Shad. What's the not Mel Kiper, the other guy, the younger guy, the big draft guy. Anyway, he did a whole. He's really good. He's a young guy who would always argue with Kiper. I'm bad with names. But anyway, he did a breakdown on all the top teams, and I'm going to break it all down, all the teams and what they invest on. And when you look, McShay, yeah, McShay, that's it. Good job, man. But all the teams, they invest heavy on defensive line, defense, and they strike hot and heavy on offense. Some once in a while in the first round, but a lot of times the mid rounds, but they always secure the trenches. And so the investments, all the investments financially between Hill and Waddle, and then all the pick investments, it's not the formula the winning franchises use. And so the longer that you stick with Hill, because Waddle's supposed to be, you spend 2 first rounds. He's not meant to be a decoy. Yeah. And so if you want to get, let's say, for me, and I think we're seeing it, the scheme you kind of want to have is one that runs inside, at least it's some semblance of balance of 40, 60 if you want to be an outside, but then you got to run inside zone. And so you got to adjust your whole offensive line and merge it with what you got, which not all the guys are good for outside and inside zone. And then you got to get the tight end. The tight end is a huge facet. But then you have to get these receivers, these small receivers to block. And Hill did some good work, surprisingly good work at times in run blocking. But having all that, and then, you got Washington, you got to feed him. And then you got Jonnu, and you got Achane. Hill, to me, if you could get good value from him, it wouldn't be the best for this year, but how many more years he's going to play? Would you rather have a second round pick and lose him this year and have a guy that's going to be in your team for 5 or 6 years, or you get a second and a fourth, a second and a fifth. And, teams hit with fifths. We don't, except for Van Ginkel, and we didn't want him. So, and then you got to set, that's the thing too. It's like, what's the value of culture? How can you have a guy be a leader who everybody knows quit on him, and they might like him? There's always that guy that you hang out with that everybody likes, but they can't depend on him. Like me, who shows up in the wrong chat room. You know what I'm saying? So, but it kind of plays on things. And so what happens if it gets bad? Then you're stuck with a guy who might freak out again. And so I don't know. For me, I would move off him. Waddle's supposed to be the guy. And then you got Jonnu, and then you got Washington. I was reading someplace he had the most separation, I think, or something. Or he won the most, some really good stat, And so to me, it's just he's too much. He's too much. I mean, great talent, but are we winning the Super Bowl this year?
Nope.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's my take.
If you made a T-chart of pros and cons of keeping Tyreek or getting rid of Tyreek, and factoring in the rest of your roster, your financials, you have a number one guy who can go step in right away. So that's not an excuse that you desperately need him at wide receiver. But he quit on the team, and we always like to make the joke that Miami's an unserious franchise. You will lose, in my opinion. It's like a small thing, but keeping him on is actually a large thing, and you will lose. Nobody will believe you when you're trying to talk hard to the team or anything. You've lost all credibility that it is all about the team and nobody's above it. And if you're not doing it right, you're out of here. If we keep him, it just sends a really bad message. And as men, I just don't see how they can just go, okay, it's all right. He won't do it. He's a mercenary. He proved it, and he quit on you. I'm sorry. Me.
I think we can. I mean, there's some teams that definitely would be willing to even pick up some of that cap hit that we would take just to have him. Baltimore is a great example, and they have money to spend. And I think we can all agree that, and most fans too, looking at the chat, I think we should try to trade him. I mean, and post June 1st, you're looking at a pretty decent take for Miami and not too bad of a hit. The only thing is do the Miami Dolphins make the best decisions for the team?
No.
So, I mean, if that happens, if they don't end up trading Tyreek, I think the one thing that we can all agree on definitely is he's not going to have that C on his chest this year. It won't be there.
No, not at all.
Just to
No.
think about that is, yeah.
The one thing about that is, he was talking big about wanting to jump ship. And then all of a sudden he changed his tune real quick. I think he got shopped around and nobody wants him for anything that he wants to deal with. And that's why I'm wondering whether or not we can trade him. I mean, if he already was pre-shopping and he was all for it and nothing happened, now we got to wait the whole cycle till we get to the point where somebody's like desperate. And
I think that's part of the game for him is he's not disgruntled. He's a great player. It was a small thing. If you trade for him, you're going to get a great guy. Like, that's what I think is the whole – it's kind of died down and everyone's trying to be rosy about it.
Right.
Is because they're going to trade him. And the agent wants it to look like it wasn't a big deal. The Dolphins sure want it to look like it wasn't a big deal, keep his value high. That's the way I took it, but that's just reading into it,
Yeah, and I haven't heard if they've shopped him around a bunch right now, and I think it might be kind of like what you said there, is that they're just trying to do fire control right now and just kind of let things die down and then come at it with the suppressant afterwards. I'm sure they've shopped him a little bit, but I bet they're just trying to wait a little longer before they do and hope that everything calms down before, like you said, before they start doing it.
Yeah, O'Darius. Now, if you guys hadn't checked my podcast out today, O'Darius schooled me on like coverage and stuff. And he really taught me a ton about how this offense operates.
That's a good point.
So I'm gonna, thing is though, if you trade him next year, he's going to be 32. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
He's still a little old in the tooth, but I think
he's
might.
Fast. He's fast.
Yeah,
he's cheetah.
Oh yeah, but you might save money next season trading him. But I don't know if you get the return on the value. I don't know though. Who knows? Maybe 32. He's still a stud, and you can get him.
It's on principle.
Somebody said over here. How was it? Indad said that if you trade him, hold on. Oh yeah, somebody said over here. If you trade Hill before March 14th, Dolphins save $52 million in cap space. I think. I don't know.
That can't be right. Really?
There was something about June 1st. You want to trade him after June 1st?
Yeah,
I think
June
after
1st.
June 1st.
Post June 1st is when he saves the most amount of money for the Dolphins. If you trade him after June. Yeah, this year. Yeah,
next year. But if we already have last year kicked to this year, we almost have to get something and kick it to next year to keep the can going.
Yeah.
Well,
I was listening to you, Curtis. I was listening to your podcast about O'Darius, and
he did a great job, man.
Yeah, it's really rough. Like when someone says he's a spot thrower, like that's and people run with these things, and people
I hate
take
that
a quote
so
from,
much.
Yeah, somebody took a quote from Trent Sherfield. I don't even remember what it was, but it was like they're using it as gold, as like this is why Tua sucks or something. But I think O'Darius is a teacher too. If I asked him that before, I don't know.
Oh, he's a teacher. I think he said he's a coach. That makes sense. Yeah, but that's a whole thing. It's so, the key thing that I learned from what he was telling me about how Tua is reading coverages and not really – there's progressions, but it's not a hard-coded like we all old school guys know, And so what came first, the chicken or the egg? And can Tua operate in a Noah system that's more, generic or conventional? We don't know, but we know that this is the vehicle. And when you understand he's reading coverages, it makes a lot of sense why he does stuff. And it didn't really make sense before. It really didn't, because I was taking my view of how offenses run. And I'm like, wow, man, he's going through those progressions fast. Like, I go to this guy, and then all the times I'm like, what? There's no way. So, but now it makes perfect sense. But the thing is, it's such a finicky style because one of the things he talked about is how they mirror each coverage on each side in most defenses, but not all defenses. And so when you get a good coach, they can say, oh, this guy's reading coverages and he's probably thinking it's mirror. Let's show him mirror for a while and then all of a sudden flip it. And you can hide and mask things. And then when you don't have a run game and you don't have protection, to me, it's too finicky. The whole thing's too finicky. Outside zone is so tough. The last really all-out good outside zone team was the Falcons, and they had Mack at center. And I know I'm a off, eval guy, but I don't think Brewer can move people. I think he's good on the second level, but Mack could do both. I mean, he wasn't great at moving people, but he could. And so it's like we're all outside stuff. We're all this finicky style of reading and throwing it to areas, and it's just too finicky, And I don't know if McDaniel can rewrite what he's doing. And I don't know even if he decided, let me rewrite it, he'd be good at it. The complexity level rises when you have to go for the standard progression style and add in whole packages for audibles. And I don't know if he can do it. I don't know. It's very difficult spot we're in. But the lesson that I got altered so much, because if you have this quick reading format where you're reading coverages, well, and then you could throw a 2.04. Then you could throw a 2.01. But the problem is, even if you're throwing that fast, it's very difficult to get depth. I mean, Tua was throwing 2.35, and he had over 10 yards per reception, and then it dropped. And then it dropped. So I don't know. It's a lot. I got to reprocess a lot of things. So anyway, I don't know what I was saying, but I was saying something.
I think imagine if Tua had some time to get to the line. He's able to read. He's really good at anticipating, thinking about where guys are going to go, using that knowledge to not just know, okay, we're passing, to be able to audible, to be able to switch to a run play, to kill, and do a run play when he sees the numbers. Like, that doesn't seem to be part of something we even try to do. And I was watching some about the Buffalo Bills run game, and it's always a numbers game, but what they do with their 6 offensive linemen and how they're inside when they're just reading linebackers and safeties.
There's a name for that too, where they get the 6. Isn't there a name for that? They were calling it something like a bunch play or something like that. They get like the extra tight end up
Cook's
there.
got it right at his disposal. Like, he's either going to get straight up the middle, it's guys are going to move some bodies, or he's going to have the bounce out. All depends on what he sees. And it's like, that's simple football. That's not really, there wasn't a lot of bodies moving all over the place to make that play happen. And it just seems like that's so easy that how can McDaniel not be trying to all this technical stuff, but really not be able to do this most basic stuff? I hope he's just been outsmarting himself. And
I don't know. He was very green, and to ask him to do all that is, this is a big job, to be in the booth and be a run game coordinator and then have to win now and be an HCOC. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, hit those, if you can, hit the like button and all that stuff. I'm learning my marketing. Thank you, Happy Hippie. I got to remember to do this stuff. Oh, hold on a second. Pride, his numbers drop with more time to throw. Not in 2022. In 2022, it was 235, 77% clean time. He had 77% clean time in 204 this year, and 22 is his best year. Now, but the difference is, Pride, if you go look at the blitzing, all the top offenses are blitzed. We are the least blitzed at like 17%. The average blitz rate is like 30%. And so remember that if they're dropping 7, then he's throwing against stacked decks. And how many times is you running play action on top of that with 2 and 3 guys in routes? It got better this year. They put more receivers in routes. Darius had this point. Yeah, see him under pressure. He's the number 1 quarterback under pressure. And there's even variables to that because they're playing so over that on the move, there's guys underneath. But you have to mitigate it. He's not terrible if he's the best. And so I think that any quarterback with time to throw and protection and a balance, because I'm not. I hate. Well, yeah, I said it at the beginning of the season. Look at the linebacker depth. The Dallas game. Dallas played us in dimes in the red zone. And it was a move from the Broncos game all the way to the end of season last year to create linebacker depth, to attack the edges and deal with the pocket post. And this year they played, I've seen them sitting at 6 yards on first down, the middle linebacker. And they just dropped the 7, and you got 2 or 3 guys in routes. it's very hard to complete as the clock runs up. But what would it look like if they feared our run game and the linebacker leverage dropped? They weren't playing cover 2 all day, and they blitzed. I don't know. I'm not a Karnak the Great, but we had a little view of that in 2022. He was blitzed 25.5% of the time and had 25.7% pressure. This year, he had 28%, I think, pressure and 17% blitz rate. So if you want to know what an offense is doing and how they're really operating, you look at the blitz rate and pressure rate, and you minus them and see which one is in a positive and negative. And when you got blitzed and I mean, it was 25%, I don't know, it was 28% pressure rate, but it was 17% blitz rate. That's almost like 7 or 8% difference between the blitz and pressure. That is horrific. There's no team. I think it was Tampa had plus 7%. They were blitzed like 30-something% of the time, and they only had 25% pressure. And so that one stat alone, it's not to justify 2 or anything like that. It's to focus on the framework. And if you got a quarterback who's, any quarterback is going to be affected by this. Does it mean he'd be great if it wasn't? I don't know, but I know it's not good. And so I think if you're going to look at how he throws over time, check through 3 seasons and focus on 22, because that's when we had our best O-line. Not great, but still the best of the 3 years. So that would be my take. Mike
did go to him. You could see that Greer came out and said, okay, I have to actually focus on the offensive line. I think when they got Greer and McDaniel in a room with Ross and said, what the hell's going on? McDaniel finally said, I need offensive line. You know what I mean? And just came out and said it. I mean, if he's going to get fired anyway, if he's not doing the job, it's time to just come out and toughen up a little bit, pull up your capris and tell them I need a freaking O-line. And I think he did it.
I'm jealous, man. I want to wear capris.
Yeah.
Can't wear them in Alaska, though.
Didn't Bobby Schaus? I watched your show with Bobby Schaus.
Oh, he's a great guy. Guys.
Said, yeah,
he's so
Darlington.
Great.
Well, Darlington said that Mike wasn't even he's not on the hot seat, and he didn't feel like he was ever on the hot seat. So I don't know. I really don't know how they're going to play it. But there's this thing Brett Coleman said once, tweeted it once, and I'm holding on to it with such hopium. Is that Sean McVay went through the similar struggles, did a lot more outside zone. I don't know if this is all true. And he switched to a much bigger interior and a lot more inside and kind of dumbed it down a little bit. And that might be the maturation of, we hope, Mike McDaniel. I don't know. If he's really a smart guy, boy, he watched it every goddamn time he tried to call a run play up the middle. He watched his O-line just be completely inept. So, I don't know. He knew it's a problem. Let's just hope we can get it fixed and play some football.
Hey, what's going on, brother? Honestly, it doesn't matter what they do. The organization's rotten from within. So the best we can do now is get super young so the next administration may have to work with. To me, there's a little bit of a downside to that, though, because I say it all the time. I'm not going to go too long. I personally think that Ross, because of all his moves and machinations. Remember, football is a fraternity, but coaching is a fraternity too. And when you screw over some coaches, especially highly notable coaches, or screw them over in big ways, it pollutes the pool. You look at last year, 3 years ago when we got McDaniel, he was like playing C or D. No one wanted to work with us. No one of real salt. And so is he going to find a GM as long as Ross is here? Is he going to really get a top-end coach? We don't know that. I think we still got to just draft no matter what and get good draft picks. And that's really all you can hope for. I don't know if McDaniel's the guy. I know Greer isn't. I know Ross isn't. So it's not a good spot, but we just got to hope maybe somehow it changes. Maybe a spot can change a leopard can change his spots. I don't know, or stripe spots, whatever the hell it is.
Oh, Greer's going to go on oh man, I can't even think of the word right now. LL Cool J. What do we got?
Thank you, Steve, brother.
A comeback. He's going to go on comeback tour right now. Greer next year. He's going to be going off, and everyone's going to change their tune on him because he's going to hit on every draft pick. He's going to bring in some free agents that blow this offensive line away, and it's going to be under the cap.
All right, that's what we're going to do, man. Merry Christmas. I'm going to put all my teeth under the pillow, man.
There you go.
We might lose our third round comp from Wilkins though, because he got injured.
I think we are going to lose that.
It's going to be a fourth. It's going to be a fourth.
Yeah.
Oh, is that it?
Just Weaver?
It's a fourth. It's a
what
fourth.
if we lose Weaver to the Saints? What
That'd be brutal.
To
I don't know if he's going. We're going to. I was sort of leaning towards. I don't know. Aaron going to the Jets makes it tougher. But you're going to. I mean, if you lose Campbell and Weaver, those are two big governing forces. And I even say Welker. Welker, remember Hill yelling next to McDaniel at one game, and then Welker kind of stepped in and ushered him out of the frame of the camera. He was a guy, at least, who you can respect. He's got some stuff between the legs. You lose Weaver and Campbell and Welker. And I think the Patriots are taking a linebacker coach. I don't know. I'm hopeful. I just want him to draft good. That's all I want him to draft. Maybe Ross sells a team next year. That's all I want. I don't know.
Draft good. Yep.
Vrabel. Yeah, he's one hell of a coach. He is. They got to draft right. They got a lot of. I think they're going to draft an offensive line with that first pick. They need to really buff up that. But he's a good coach, and they got some good pieces over there. They'll be very, very.
They got $90 million in cap or something crazy too in New England.
Yeah, man, we got to spend right. Look, remember Bill had all that money and he pissed it away. I was looking at the offensive line we brought in since McDaniel got here. They all been hits relative to the investments. Some reason for hope. Yeah, I thought Connor was a great pickup. I not all of them. I mean, Tehran was a really good. You had to take Tehran because he was. You're never going to get a guy that good for that price. Even with the injury history. So it was a risky one. Brewer, I'm not so hot on Brewer. I'm not saying he's bad. He's better than Eichenberg far away. I just think he's a little limited. Who else he bring? Lamb was a good job, but bringing him back. And then Wynn, people liked Wynn. I was never high on Wynn. I knew he'd get injured. I said he'd get injured. He always gets injured. Who else did they bring in? So it's
Patrick Paul.
Patrick Paul's a potential.
Yeah.
But my thing for Paul is, though, is he really good for a lot of outside zone? He seems much better for inside zone. He's not.
Well, and that's.
I'm sorry.
That's the problem. That's the problem with this whole offensive line situation is we're throwing Band-Aids at a gaping wound. We've got a line that's been built by two different types of offensive line groups. And they've taken players from each type of offensive line and just thrown them together and been like, good, play offensive line, play as a team. And you've got guys that are built for inside zone. You got guys that are built for the outside zone. And they don't mix. You never mix that. You build an offensive line as a unit. You don't just pick, oh, this guy's good. This guy's good. Let's put them together. It doesn't work that way. And so people always look at, the draft and free agency and they're like, oh, that guy's a 98 in Madden. Let's throw him in there. And let's take this guy who's never played with a crappy guard. Let's throw him over there. And then we have an offensive line like we have now. We have a hodgepodge of two or three different types of offensive line for two or three completely different offenses. And we've become completely inept because of it. We're only grabbing one player in the draft here and a player in free agency there. And it's just not enough. We need 5 or 6 draft picks in the draft this year for offensive line alone. And maybe pick up a tackle or even one of our offensive guards that we need. Pick up a seasoned veteran in free agency. There's going to be a few floating around. And you can find one for in the $7 to $10 million range, and you get somebody like that who can help with the young guys, and you put these players together, having them all qualified to run the same kind of offensive line together. Everybody looks at the offensive line like, oh, it's just a bunch of dumb big guys playing football, and it's just not. They have got to be able to speak the same language, you know. You can't, yeah, I mean, it's like you can't have a bunch of iPhone users and a bunch of Android users get together and develop a phone. It just doesn't work.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, Robert Jones was the perfect example. Like, he does not fit. And okay, you got him on the roster, you use him. I was at 22 or 20, 22 and 23, but 24, it made no sense. And then if you notice, they constantly roll protection help to Eichenberg. And who would keep Eichenberg? To me, that's the like canary in a coal mine. Somebody that was not a coach. I mean, remember the 2022 offensive line coordinator was arguing over Eichenberg and Jones. He wanted Jones, and the next year he was canned. And remember, I had Greer saying, I had a GM come up to me and say, oh, Eichenberg's now, he's playing so good for you. They lie so much. They're like a rug. I mean, they just literally lie. I mean, think about it this way. The way they called their offense this year with all these screens, they knew the offense was garbage. That's why I said in the offseason, they're selling us. This is the most comfortable I ever felt. Both him and Greer McDaniel said that. They knew it was going to be poor. And they knew it. They knew, and they lied. You can't believe anything they say. Not saying they're not telling the truth all the time, but they are liars. You know, I mean, how could you be that high? I mean, whatever drugs they're doing to believe that, I need to get some because that must be good stuff. You know?
When you question who's in charge, who's making the shot, who's calling the shots between McDaniel and Greer, the Liam Eichenberg evidence says it's Greer. Because I cannot imagine, like, I want to feel bad for Mike, and I want to be like, Mike, this is not the offensive line that you would have chosen for this team. But I really don't know. But watching Liam Eichenberg get put in the spin cycle and on the ground every week, it's bad. And we just could never get a yard up the middle for 3 years. We could never get a yard up the middle, worst in the NFL. But you keep that same kid who got drafted by Greer. He was there before McDaniel was there.
Man, Odaris just put up a comment. That needs to be put up, man. Holy cow.
Where is it? I can't. Where is it? I didn't say. I zoned out for a second.
The best bet is to trade down to the early 20s and fortify the trenches. Brother, that is what I'm talking about right there.
Long term, if everyone's going to stay, everyone's staying here forever, that's a good long-term plan.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Now
with the only thing, where is it? There was one up here. Warren at 13. I don't know. Okay, so I was talking earlier. I got to put out this study. And it showed who teams drafted, all the successful teams. Warren's appears to be a good player, but 13 for him when you got John. John has got 2 more years.
Yeah.
And I don't know how good Warren's going to be. I think he's going to be pretty good. I mean, if he's going to be a Hall of Famer, then grab him, if you're going to be like the kid from the Raiders. But it would to Zonka's, you always got to defer to Zonka. It would help with the leverage. It would help with protection. It would offer a lot. But what it would do is the biggest problem is then you're forcing Greer, who misses like a blind man, swinging a baseball bat in the dark with a bucket on his head, to hit on offensive linemen in the later rounds. He's terrible. But it's the later rounds is where you make your team, especially on the O-line. All the top teams, they found guys late, and they're major pieces. So if we had a super competent team, GM, and he was an elite tight end, I totally agree on it. He's one of the first guys I said, we got to get this guy because it really, you put him next to Jonnu, but then the problem is as you dig inside, Jackson, people are totally they rate this guy's value way too high in my evaluation. He cannot drive block. So if you want to go inside zone, he's got poor technique. He gets beat in the pass rush, and he can't drive. He's big and he can get outside and do some things, but is he going to be a tackle? And as long as he's there, it's going to be a major weakness if you try to run this thing right. And then you got Brewer. Brewer, I think, is very good at certain points, but he's very limited. If you move more towards that inside zone stuff like the Titans had, you're going to see some of the stuff that happened to him there. Paul, I like Paul, but then you got to get 2 guards. So I don't know. It's a very sticky situation. I think O'Darius is right. Trade out. You've got to do that. But Greer, for some reason he had all those picks, and he was doing so well. And then all of a sudden he's like, I'm a drunk guy, and I'm just going to buy everybody shots. And he was taking picks and just throwing like 10 picks at a guy. And then like all of a sudden you went from the youngest team 3 years ago to the oldest team in 3 years. And you know how many times he could have traded back? He could have accumulated picks. How many picks that you waste a 7th round pick, move up, and the guy be gone next week? I was like, what? Yeah. And so I don't know. I don't trust him in the mid rounds. But we'll get a real shot at Greer. Greer, there's so many offensive linemen. In the 2nd round, there's so many good guards. You should be able to find something that 2nd and 3rd. So I don't know. Maybe Warren at 13th. A little high. I'm hoping that guy Banks drops or one of those DIs. We need a DI is almost as bad as we need offensive line.
A nasty DI.
Nasty. Sealer's going to be 30.
Do you think he's going to be around at the 13th pick?
Who's that? Warren?
Yeah. No. Yeah. What's that guy's? What's his name?
Banks.
Yeah.
I'm just starting to do the drafting myself. I'm trying to dig into it and get good at it. And I was going through it, and there's a possibility. There's a possibility he's a really good player at 13, because just if you look at the needs and the players, one of these guys, the DI, you look at it as some guys that I think could really drop. I think we could find ourselves with Banks or one of these good DIs. Maybe it could be Starks if someone doesn't want to go safety that early. And that would be a good player, and it would help us with a need. But I'm hoping one of these trench guys falls. And Greer's been kind of lucky at the 13th and around that area, finding guys that fall. So you never know.
If you look at all the free agents, sorry, Joe, you can go, bud.
No, I just said 13's our number.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
for obvious reason.
No, but if you're like a Greer apologist and you want to go to bat for Greer, the evidence, he had a good free agency besides the people he let go. And that actually, that can hammer all of it, letting some grizzly bears, as I call them, walk. And we replaced them with Liam Eichenberg. But either way, he brought in some really good free agents. Jordan Brooks hit. I really thought Odell was going to do something. That was really his only flop of the offseason. Besides not bringing in a quarterback. I keep saying all this horrible stuff he did, but the acquisitions he did and the players he drafted last year, really, there's some really good players that he brought on the team via free agency and the draft last year only. But the people he let go is really what killed this team. So, and not getting a quarterback backup.
Yeah, are you saying? Are you in the 1st round or the 2nd round?
Well, last year we got.
No. I'm asking Chris. Many of the draft experts don't think available guards are worthy of the early rounds. Are you saying the 1st round or the 2nd round as well? Because I thought there was some pretty darn good guards in the 2nd round.
No, he's got to mean just the 1st round, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
He was a sleeper.
Yeah. Yep. He said 1st.
Yeah.
Is it a good?
No, there's no guards. No way. You'd be totally crack piping it to get a guard at 13.
I thought I heard this was a good O-line draft. Is it a good O-line draft?
I think it is. I'm excited just for the offensive line as it is. Just there's so much in this draft. I'm making a couple of things for it so I can start tracking these guys. But this is an offensive lineman's dream.
Oh yeah,
type of draft. There's a lot.
Oh, dude, if Greer screws this one up, man. Oh, got it.
Yeah,
he's gonna get it. This is the year, guys. Everything, all the mistakes, they all had to be made on purpose. It was all learning. This is the year, man. Everyone's putting it together. Mike's gonna run a heavy inside zone. Guys, this is the year, man. This is it.
Well, Chris Greer's talked himself into a corner. He's finally admitted that he needs to put effort into this offensive line. So if he doesn't,
he didn't admit it. He didn't admit it. He kind of said he sort of might have, should have done something a little different.
He said, "I guess we'll have to invest in the offensive line this year." So he's not admitting responsibility, but he's definitely admitting that it needs to happen.
He's the worst guy, man. There's not many people I don't like. I don't like him. I used to just think he was a jerk. like sort of. But the more I get to know this guy in the public, man, he's just not a man of character. Do not like him at all. So sorry.
He's going to win you over next year.
You never know. The thing is, though, there's a lot of teams that are going to be looking for offensive linemen. And you saw, I bet you he wanted to draft more offensive linemen this year, but the Steelers stuck us like twice.
They did, didn't they?
And that's another problem too. Teams know we are desperate for O-linemen. So you're going to have guys maybe trade in front of us for the right offensive lineman. You're going to have that's the biggest problem, is that we are just our areas, the safety, offensive line, DI. It's like neon sign. Miami wants them. Yeah. Remember when we were going to draft Warner and it got leaked out the day before? And I think it was San Fran traded in front of us to get him, and that's when we ended up with Baker. We've always fallen, and I'm hoping it's not this season. He's got to come out with 2 to 3 linemen, like one backup and 2 starters.
No edge. We don't need to draft any edge players. You can do
7 more. We need 7 more edges. 7.
That's it.
I think all first 7 rounds edges.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
We need inside for sure.
Yeah.
All we can do is hope, man.
Yeah.
All we can do is hope.
Yep. That's it. It's all you can't predict. If even me, who I despise the guy, I think he's a total inept klutz. I have to believe. I got to wait. I got to see what he does. You never know. You never know at the last moment. But if it's this year, if he screws this year up, I don't understand how anybody can have any faith in this guy. He's got to, he's got to make it happen. And he can. I mean, it's there, you got to come out at least one starter on your offensive line. I mean, if you can't come out with that, then wrap it up.
Yeah. Nope, you're right. I can't imagine another year of not even win-loss record, but just our roster looking exactly the same at the end of the year, and the same deficiencies plagued us all season. I can't imagine anybody would bring anybody back after seeing that, but I'm hopeful. I'm one of those crazy fans.
You gotta be. What else reason you do this unless you're hopeful?
I know the odds are not good. Like, I'm at least realistic. I know the odds are not good, but this is an insane world we live in, man. Crazy things happen all the time, and I'm just gonna believe and hope, but I'm not gonna be blind to what I'm actually looking at, and I'm so that's the difference.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at this and I just wanted to go double check because I saw a comment that said that this is a terrible draft for the offensive line, and I don't know what they're looking at.
It's deep.
I mean, dude.
Theoretically,
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have misses in there, but I mean, Tyler Booker, Kevin Banks, dude. There's a lot of good players.
There's a couple of really good guards. There's the guard from Alabama, and I always forget. Is it Georgia? There's another one from Georgia.
There's one from Alabama for sure. Chase Lunt from UConn, that's another great one, and he's a zone blocker. I mean, there's just so many in this draft class. I'm so excited. I don't know. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
To kick some other players out too. You know what I mean? The offensive line's been a problem all the way around because
for years
can't find any. So hopefully that'll also kind of release some other players. And I definitely have the most confidence in this coaching staff we have right now, as far as being an offensive line coaching staff, which may account for how come some of the picks we have done so good on the offensive lines, because we know how to at least use them. And so I think if we get the right people and we can actually get a larger pool of talent in there and use our coaching staff, we really can finally get the offensive line we need. And if we do, that'll change everything.
Darius, how much do you think McCarry is going to make, though? We are broke. We're negative 11 right now.
We were negative 80 last year, remember?
Yep. Well, and don't forget, I mean, I know it's kind of weird, but the cap's going to increase by about $35 million this year. Yeah. But that guard you were talking about from Alabama, Curtis, that's Tyler Booker.
Oh, okay. All right,
that's Tyler Booker, 350 pounds. And dude's got lightning feet.
Really?
The man is amazing. I'm so excited.
Oh, that's great. That's great. He's got.
All right.
Well, the thing is he has another problem, or maybe not. Are we going to lean into the finesse football and get more guys that are off footsie? Finesse guys, nice guys.
Got to make the evolution. We got him. Mike's got to make the evolution. If we want to be successful and be anything competent, that evolution just has to be made. Shout out to everybody in the chat. There's a lot of people that came out here. I saw Abel's name, Indade, Yuki.
Oh, Abel's there.
There he is.
What up, Abel?
Abel, what's going on, brother?
We had Steve, Molly coming by. Everybody, good job. Thank you.
I know Darius, my secondary teacher, my secondary coach teacher.
Nice.
Oh man. So, all right. So I just want to say one last
Booker
thing.
is 348 pounds. I just wanted to clarify that.
I'd love that. I'd love that.
Someone's saying he's not 350. He is.
I think if you flank Brewer with like one guy like that and another guy in a 320, 330 range, then you could offset some of his talents. Telvin Jenkins, they're going to bring him back. They got loads of money. Chicago's bringing him back. He's a stud. And he's a guy they drafted. I think they sign him. That's why we have to wait to see who gets let free first. I can't imagine that you got Caleb Williams and then Ben Johnson's going in and they're going to let this guy walk with like $80 million. They got a lot of money. Yeah. And they could push that forward too. And they're on a rookie contract. Oh, somebody said that he slimmed down to 325. 325. What's a few hamburgers, huh?
Right. At that point, I mean, that's actually probably a good thing. I think right around 320, 330 pounds is beastly anyway.
Yeah.
Is Booker projected in the high second round?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think somewhere around there, late first, high second, somewhere in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of guards. That's why I think we should hit on a guard in the second round. In the first round, we should take some, stud that drops at 13 or trade back. So there's a lot of opportunities. There's no way we should miss in that second round on an offensive lineman.
No, we should be able to hit on some good offensive linemen in this draft. And when I say some, I mean not one or two. And that's the big thing.
It'd be really telling if we drafted a tackle and a right tackle, somebody coming out of college and we put Jackson into a competition with the rookie. That would be telling. That'd be the exact opposite of what we've been doing. So, but that sure would be nice. Didn't Greer get like 8 defensive tackles last year? Like, he just spammed the defensive tackle, but it was all bargain bin shopping.
Yeah, and I don't know how people thought Benito Jones could be good.
And Gallimore was the best one. And
I didn't let him go. I know. Tart
was supposed to be good, but there's something going on with that guy. I don't really know, but yeah, spend a little bit more next time.
Yeah, Tart was semi-successful away from us.
Look at Sanchez's comment. Or Sanch. Oh my goodness.
He saw, and he, you know what? He could have. This is why, you could tell a person he could have won so much like fan appreciation by saying, you know what? I should have listened to the fans. I didn't make the right moves. I'm going to fix it this year. Like, he could have manned up, but he's not a man. He is a total backstabbing corporate snake. Like, that's all he had to do. Say, I'm sorry, I screwed up. But he can't. Yeah, ego, absolutely ego.
It'd be great if you said he left Mike high and dry. Like, I left him high and dry all year with that offensive line.
He would have been a hero.
He would have been a hero.
Yeah, he can't, though. He can't. He's so focused on himself. I think he's a narcissist. He's so worried about his resume. That's why, remember we heard in Butch Barry we trust. I'm sorry, Liam. I'm sorry, Jackson. Like, how do we know where this stuff came from? Like, this is like the second largest media department. And you can go listen to Greer's comments. He's like making stuff up. Like, GMs talked to me and said how good Eichenberg was. And Eichenberg, they are just not trustworthy people. The people are low character, man. It's terrible. Anyway, before I want to just finish up on something. So, guys, my sponsors, they said they're going to give me a few more months through the off season. Then they're going to check the numbers and see if they'll keep me past that. But I'm going to be doing this for at least through the off season. So I just wanted to give you guys the heads up.
Good job.
So
it continues.
Yeah, it continues. We'll see, man. We're playing week by week here, but I got a couple more months. So anybody, if you guys any have ideas, if you see something and I could do better, something you think like is Friday at 9:00. Is that the best time to have the live? Is it better another day or something? Should I do a certain type of podcast? What do you think I could do? I believe with many advisors, you're assured success, and you've got to evaluate yourself more than anybody else. But if you don't know what the hell you're doing, like me, sort of, if you guys can evaluate me and give me good wisdom, then I can maybe get better at this thing. I think I do pretty good in certain areas, but like saying subscribe and hit the like button, man, it's like drinking acid. I don't know why I can't do it. So I appreciate all that you guys have done, being here tonight, all you guys with me on this thing, but whatever you got to help me be better at this, because I love to do it. I love to hang out with you guys. I love to talk football for a living. So, I had a nice little burst over the season. I think that bought me some time, but I think I gotta take a little burst. So anything you guys could do to help me out, just give me the heads up, and you can always contact me at Curtis at Ace Per Head. Like sometimes people they're afraid to like give you an eval in public or something. Curtis at aceperhead.com and say, hey, Curtis, I didn't like the way you did this. Oh, I like this. Or maybe I thought this idea. I listen, I answer everything. I'm like a total OCD German on that stuff. I love it though. I do. If I could do this job, just answering comments, I'd probably be at my happiest. I hate being in front of this camera, so I just love answering the comments and communicating. So anyway, that's it, guys. Let's give you the heads up for that stuff.
And Jamie does make good points. Get on round tables with other people and make that make those connections, because that's where between Miss Fins in the morning and the other people, they all mix together and they all they all like each other and hit like and visit you and even do co-shows across stream.
Yeah, I'm sort of like
I couldn't imagine Curtis being on with Miss Fins and TD.
Dude, that's what I was thinking.
No, not that. But
those two, I'm not trying to talk smack. Those two are not TD. They're extremely clickbaity.
I like TD. I would love to be with TD. I don't, to me, I don't care because I feel you can have your opinion. I don't know. I don't really care about who I'd be with.
Tua's trash. We're going to the Super Bowl. Tua's trash. We're going to the Super Bowl.
I know that. Yeah, but, I think, I don't know, whatever. I always think he can talk on stuff. But I
got an idea for you, Curtis.
What's that? Grow some hair, get a nice wig, man. If I put a nice wig on, man, maybe.
I got something better. So Steve, he's got some ladies that do a podcast, right? Like, go on with those ladies. Hang out with those ladies. You get your name and your picture. Those ladies are in every dude's picture. All these guys are watching them because of the ladies.
Oh, yeah. Then my wife kills me, and then I don't get to do the show. What are you doing? She said we get killed on live TV.
It's business. Okay? Yeah. Business.
My wife's got that Latin blood, man. You might see, like, on the news, Curtis killed my wife because he has chicks on his...
Reason started bringing girls on one of his shows. Oh, yeah. So
he's good. I'm like socially inept in some way. I feel like awkward. Like Darius is like, you ever thought about getting played? I'm like, who the hell would want to come on my show? I mean, I don't know. I just to go up to somebody and ask. I'm starting to do it now. Like I asked Bobby and I've asked some other people. It's just such an awkward thing for me. I wouldn't think anyone would be on the show. But maybe I got to do that. And I got to have the cojones to go do that kind of stuff. Maybe I'll try it,
Richmond Webb, he loves doing interviews.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
You might see me sit there like a little girl and like gibber to myself.
Richmond. You should be looking at him the whole time. Richmond Webb, tell me about
like, what's wrong with this dude? Oh,
dude,
man.
Yeah.
When I grew up, man, I was in my I guess it was early 20s. Him and Dan, dude, they're like some idols of mine. Maybe I'll do that. I'm trying to do the Twitter thing. I'm trying to do that Twitter thing.
Man. Richmond Webb is one of the
center back then too, wasn't it?
He's the reason I started playing football. Was Richmond Webb.
Wow. He's great, and he's such a nice guy. Keith Sims and Richmond Webb are just like. They're right up there, man. I love those guys. That'd be unbelievable. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'm going to try to get the guts up to do that. Guys, sometimes you take chances or whatever. But that's
Richmond Webb always has charities going too. So he'd love to get on most podcasts and stuff and talk because it gets out, what he's doing and up to. So
Omar Kelly. There you go, indeed. Yeah. Let's get some guys on the show for you, Curtis, and you'll blow up.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, Danky, man. All you gotta do is just contact me. Well, anybody who wants to come on, I'll put you on. I don't care as long as you're not totally nuts, and maybe even that, even entertaining. I don't care. Just contact me, Curtis at aspurhead.com. All right, here. Just email me. I'll put you on at aspurhead.com. I think everybody's got value. You know, I think everybody offers a different perspective. They bring information. So I'll talk to anybody. Anybody who wants to come on.
At least try to tell a joke.
Yeah, you know, whatever. Just don't be like, whatever. But yeah, it'd be awesome.
The round tables are great when you can get more people to come on, and that's what a lot of those shows thrive on is they'll open up the panel and people come in and you know they talk, you know, and it makes it when you can join a panel like that's where other people are joining that aren't professionals, you know what I mean? And you can feel like, okay, this is something I can join. I'm not going to feel like a weirdo out there because everybody's weird. You know, you just go open it up and like you're doing with the contact you and sending the links, maybe more shows like that, like spread out throughout the week. Where people can come in and like have an open panel,
like a Wednesday, 5 p.m., 5:36, something like that.
Is that that's a good time Wednesday? And also,
there's a lot of shows on.
You had
Wednesday
a great
right
idea
now.
too. You had me want to go on those forums and stuff. I'm gonna start doing that too. Armando, man, thank you so much. $7, man. I appreciate that.
There you go.
Nice. It's really nice. Come on, give us a question or something. It's $7, man. Don't waste your $7 by saying thank you. Ask something, man. We got Darius.
We
here.
answer
A bunch of
everything
smart
anyway.
guys. Yeah, I answer it anyway. Whatever.
Yeah.
No, but that sort of thing really makes the algorithm.
That's awesome.
That
But with your
specific
money.
thing.
That's awesome.
That's so nice, Armando. I appreciate that, bro. I really do. So yeah. I'm sorry, Joe. I cut you off, man. I got ADD.
I was just saying that those types of contributions really kick the algorithm up too. You know, like likes and all that other stuff. The contribution says it's like 1,000 likes. You know what I mean?
Really?
Well, I don't mean specifically as a number, but it means a whole lot. So, you know.
Yeah, you guys.
Man,
that reminds me. I write stuff down on my pad, but like my eyes aren't so good, so sometimes I wrote it down. I couldn't believe you only had like 10 views today. Dude, you guys should check out Frozen Fin Fan. He does a great job, man. Go watch his stuff. He's such a good guy. So check him out.
Oh man, I couldn't resist. I had to say something about it.
Just don't forget us when you blow up, Curtis. Okay?
Yeah, blow up. Anyway, I'm gonna after this, when it's done, I'm gonna go through these comments. There's a lot of them I can't keep up. Like there's a lot of good ideas. I see people saying stuff, so I'm gonna go back over and read some of it and write it down. So I appreciate all the thoughts.
Somebody gave you some money again, Curtis.
Where? Oh man, look at this. Sanchez, $5. Which HCGM will best fit if the S hits the fan? Well, for us to get rid of, if we got rid of Greer,
Belichick.
No, forget that, dude. I would never want that guy to come back. He can't break Schuler's record, man. And I don't trust him anymore. You know, I don't trust his abilities. Who we get, man? I really wanted Vrabel, but he's gone. I wanted Ben Johnson. He's gone. I even like the guy from Tampa. I thought he's really good. They did a great job over there. But for GM, I would want to get somebody from the Ravens, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, or not the Bills. One of those three teams.
Yeah.
Maybe Tampa. Tampa's had a lot of success for years. They've been doing amazing.
And they have a big offensive line every year.
Philosophical. Even the Lions, whoever's, we got to start, you got to start looking at assistant GMs, head of football not football operations, but, the college scouting and stuff like that. But the Lions, they have been unbelievable at drafting. Rams have been unbelievable at drafting. And when they finally got some picks, KC's done unbelievable. Those are the trees that I'd want. I'd want to fill. And that's another good thing about that McShay thing. They talked about how designing teams with a philosophy or personality represents the area. So you need to get somebody from a northern philosophy to come here and build a northern style team. We've built in a southern style team of flash and pop and excitement and skill and speed. And there's a place for that, but that's not what the NFL cycles are about, especially with where we're at. You know, if we were in like a dome team playing a bunch of southern teams in a division, but we're in a northern division, and all the top teams are mostly northern teams. And so you'd want to get a philosophy from a northern style or even Western, because there's a lot of teams in the West that kind of look at the Chargers, how they're building. So something of that kind of philosophy from one of those trees. I don't know exactly who, but that's who I would get, Sanchez.
Good point.
Another contribution to throw up.
Joe, you giving me some money? I'll pay you back later. Get my algorithm. Where? I don't see it.
I think I saw another one in the.
Where did I miss it?
Did I miss? I think that's a new one, isn't it? Yeah.
Odaris?
No, I got Sanchez already.
Oh, you got Odaris?
Oh, I don't miss the green, man. I'm cheap. I see somebody put up money and my eyes go like this.
Odaris is in yellow. Don't forget about him.
Odaris in yellow.
Where is this?
Scroll all the way to the bottom.
It says thank you, and it's got a little dude jumping up and down partying.
Oh, I don't see it, man. I see. Where is it? I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. I'm squinting through the whole thing. I hate to wear glasses. I look like an idiot, man. Look at this, man. Look how bad I look in glasses.
Let's see.
I look smarter.
You look great.
I look smarter though.
You look
like an offensive coordinator.
You look like a professor.
Yeah, Professor
College
Potts.
professor.
Yeah, Green Bay. That's a good one, Armando.
There you go.
That's another one. Yeah,
Yep.
that's what you'd want to get in here, Sanchez. That's
Green Bay, I like that one.
Smarter. 22%. 22. My glasses say 22%. I look old though, man. I feel old. I hate that stuff now. Oh gosh. So all right, guys. I appreciate everything. You guys are awesome. I'm gonna go back to these comments. I'm going to start writing this stuff down. I got a book over here someplace. I'm writing all my notes down because I forget everything. And I'm going to start working on those things. I got to try to bite the bullet. But I appreciate everything, especially those contributions. You guys are the best. So, Darius, I appreciate the contribution of wisdom. I appreciate the contribution of all you guys putting those comments. To me, that's like, that's so valuable that people invest their time, their effort, their thoughts, and that means the world to me. I'm even these guys sitting there waiting for me, like, where is this Putz? I'm so grateful for all that, guys. So I appreciate everything that you guys have done. We'll hopefully have a very positive off season so I can get 1 billion subs and my sponsors will be happy. So, guys, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the games. If you're rooting for the Bills, I don't hate you. If you're not rooting for the Bills, I don't hate you. But don't root for the Bills in the Super Bowl. That's all I ask. Other than that, you're good to go. So, guys, thank you, Dirk. Give us your thing there again, man. Frozen Fin Fan on YouTube, right?
Yep, that's it. That's it.
Check it out. He's a good guy, man. He's a good guy. He's good stuff. Mr. Success, Cody, you're the nicest guy in the world. If anything else, man, I'm very happy we've met you. And Joe, you've been putting up with me for a while. You gave me those forum things, and I kept asking you about it, and I haven't gone on. I'm going to get there. I promise. You're the man, too. So, guys, thank you for everything. Have a great night. Be well. Dirk, Cody, and Hooked Up Joe and Curtis say, go Fins, and good night.
Fins up.
Fins up.